Goedemorgen, South Africa. Dumela. Hey, welcome back, folks. Chris in the Western Cape at the Leipzig Wine Estate. Conscious Caracal recently did a video about the development of South Africa. It's a poignant video, and I encourage everyone to go watch it. I'll put the link below this video. But it brings up some very interesting points. De-development, interesting term. I've been saying deindustrialization for several years as South Africa's industrialization has imploded with the neglect this country has gotten from the ANC. As a result of incompetence, pilfering, and outright theft, a kleptocracy has developed here, sadly, over the past 30 years. And the thing about this is that what I find interesting is that some South African luminaries attribute this to the United States. But Ernst van Zyl correctly flips the script and says, what is happening in the West, the test ground for that has been South Africa. Now, famously in her book, Go Woke, Go Broke, Helen Zille a few years ago claimed that these ideas came out of the United States and the United States is to blame. Now, that's the sentiment. That's not her exact words. The United States is to blame for the mess that South Africa became. No, South Africa is to blame for the mess that South Africa became. And more specifically, the people who don't bother to vote. With municipal elections coming up on the 4th of November, registration is now over or ends today, and people still haven't registered to vote in large numbers. So people in South Africa become apathetic towards their government and towards the society. And the consequences for everywhere for everyone to see. No smelters left for steel, just doesn't exist anymore. The Faro smelters are gone. They have one aluminum smelter rescued by Alcoa, a massive American multinational. At one point, there were no refineries active in South Africa. Finally, the refinery in Cape Town was reopened, but the one in Durban remains closed. South Africa can't even produce fuels from raw material. The Sasol production of cold oil has been greatly diminished. The country is run by a cabal of corporate elites who decide what South Africans get and where they get them. And if you don't believe me, look at all the different big corporate brands, famous brands. They own most of the major fast food chains, and people don't even realize it. Edgar's, Edcon used to own so many different things. Same with the banks. A handful of banks control the marketplace. And as a consequence, there's no real competition, and South Africans get what they get. And the same thing with government. Until recently, there's been no competition for who controls government. It's been the ANC everywhere except for the Western Cape for a period of time. But on November 4th, people need to go forward and vote for a party that will stand up for you. And try to get a party that can get 50+1 in the elections. Because for South Africans, you see government every day at the local level. That's where the rubber hits the road. In South Africa, the city removes your rubbish, or it doesn't, is responsible for your sewage, for your water, for policing, for electricity. This is anathema to me. All those services are provided by the private sector where I live, and therefore the government stays at it by and large. And the marketplace competes. The only thing I have a complaint about is the cable system, which is a monopoly, but the federal government allows that. But that's something we'll fix one day. But here in South Africa, it's all controlled by cities, municipalities. And if you don't have the service, the council in charge, overwhelmingly ANC around the country, except for some of KZN and the Western Cape, it's their fault. Why? Either they're incompetent, the wrong people are there. And why is this? Because you don't get to vote for politicians. In South Africa, you vote for a party list. That's not democracy. That's party over people. People keep talking about how South Africa has democracy. It's not democracy. You don't vote for the people who represent you. You didn't choose Winnie Mandela to be in parliament. The ANC chose her. You didn't choose Tony Yangeni. The ANC chose her. You didn't choose John Steenhuisen. The DA chose him. And that's how it works, folks. That is how it works. So until the day that South Africans get the right to vote for their candidates, you're going to be stuck in this mess. But in the meantime, you can at least try to give other parties a chance to govern at the municipal level. But the de-development of South Africa is everywhere to be seen. And many people deny this. They pretend it isn't real. Oh, it's just a bunch of right-wingers complaining. Well, a lot of left-wing people are complaining too. A lot of black South Africans who are on the left side and white South Africans are very unhappy with what's happening in this country. It's depressing to see a once great country collapse. Now, having said a once great country, it wasn't a once great country or fair to every one of its residents. That's a fact. But the unchecked migration, the out-of-control population growth, the collapse of services, it's embarrassing to drive along the garden route, which I haven't been to in 4 years, and suddenly see informal settlements occupying land, eyesores along the road. Where are all these people coming from? They weren't there before. They didn't live there before. Why are they there now on the outskirts of Neisner, a blight on the countryside? And why don't they have homes? Probably because unemployment is over 40%. And because the extremely elite wealthy stay extremely elite and nothing trickles down in this society. And that gives revolutionaries fodder to claim the system is rigged. But of course, their typical foil is always the wrong one. Julius Malema claims that they stole our land. Well, here's a newsflash for Julius Malema. You didn't own any land, and your parents didn't own any land. And I doubt your grandparents owned any land. And I doubt their parents had title to any land. In a functioning society, you have to have property rights. And title to land is critical. So no one stole your land. You lost it in a conflict, just like your ancestors took it from the Khoi and San when they came across the Zambezi and Limpopo rivers. And today, you have no claim to that land. But you get people excited telling them lies and myths and fairy tales about this world. And that's not the truth. The sad part about South Africa in 2026 is how few South Africans actually know the history of this country, the true history of this country, the contributions of the Mfungu, of the Khoi, of the San, of the Afrikaner, of the Xhosa, of the Tswana, of the Griqua. People don't know the true history of this country because it's neglected. And a curriculum is taught to South Africans that is one-sided and it's all poppycock. In fact, I heard Ernst van Zyl talk about the ANC's Freedom Charter. Now, that may have just been a slip because he's a very intelligent person, but the ANC is not responsible for the Freedom Charter of 1955. That was largely written by Pan-African Congress and white South African Jews, not by the ANC. They were just another actor. They weren't the primary folks responsible for the Freedom Charter, yet they claimed the Freedom Charter. They claimed Steve Biko and Black Consciousness. He had nothing to do with the ANC. That was a movement that started University by Biko and others. Black Consciousness, don't be ashamed of who you are. No one should be ashamed of who they are. You don't choose the skin pigmentation you're born into, but you do choose how you behave and how you treat others. And that's the challenge. But history has been perverted in this country so many years, so many ways, by so many people. It's time for South Africans to learn about what's really happening in their own country and not live in a bubble and not believe the nonsense from the legacy corrupt media that lie to you on a daily basis. What say you, South Africa? Mzansi, from the Western Cape, this is Chris. God bless.